Judges chapter 15, Holman Christian Standard Bible. Later on, during the wheat harvest, Samson took a young goat as a gift and visited his wife. I want to go to my wife in her room, he said, but her father would not let him enter. I was sure you hated her, her father said, so I gave her to one of the men who accompanied you. Isn't her younger sister more beautiful than she is? Why not take her instead? Samson said to the men, then said to them, this time I won't be responsible when I harm the Philistines. So he went out and caught 300 foxes. He took torches, turned the foxes tail to tail, and put a torch between each pair of tails. Then he ignited the torches and released the foxes into the standing grain of the Philistines. He burned up the piles of grain and the standing grain, as well as the vineyards and olive groves. Then the Philistines asked, who did this? They were told, it was Samson, the Timnite's son-in-law, because he has taken Samson's wife and given her to another man. So the Philistines went to her and her father and burned them to death. And Samson said to them, because you did this, I swear that I won't rest until I have taken vengeance on you. He tore them limb from limb with a great slaughter and went down and stayed in the cave at the rock of Etam. Philistines went up, camped in Judah, and raided Lehi. So the men of Judah said, why have you attacked us? They replied, we have come to arrest Samson and pay him back for what he did to us. Then 3,000 men of Judah went to the cave at the rock at Etam, and they asked Samson, don't you realize that the Philistines rule over us? Why have you done what have you done to us? I have done to them what they did to me, he answered. They said to him, we've come to arrest you and hand you over to the Philistines. Then Samson told them, swear to me that you yourselves won't kill me. No, they said, we won't kill you, but we will tie you up and securely hand you over to them. So they tied him up with 2 new ropes and led him away from the rock. When he came to Lehi, the Philistines came out to meet him, shouting. The Spirit of the Lord took control of him, and the ropes that were on his arms became like burnt flax, and his bonds fell off his wrists. He found a fresh jawbone of a donkey, reached out his hand, took it, and killed 1,000 men with it. Then Samson said, with the jawbone of a donkey I have piled them in a heap. With the jawbone of a donkey I have killed 1,000 men. When he finished speaking, he threw away the jawbone and named that place Ramath Lehi. He became very thirsty and called out to the Lord, you have accomplished this great victory through your servant. Must I now die of thirst and fall into the hands of the uncircumcised? So God split a hollow place in the ground at Levi, and water came out of it. After Samson drank, his strength returned, and he revived. That is why it's named En Hakor, which is in Lehi to this day. And he judged Israel 20 years in the days of the Philistines.